Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to FilmBuzz, where today I'll be talking and giving you my thoughts about a movie I was lucky enough to catch early. Sam Raimis' newest horror thriller, Send Help. The film follows an employee played by Rachel McAdams and her insufferable boss played by Dylan O'Brien after they become stranded on a deserted island as the only survivors of a plane crash. With no civilization in sight and no one coming to rescue them, the two are forced to confront their past grievances and work together and figure out how to survive in the middle of nowhere off the coast of Asia. Sam Raimi needs no introduction. He's the mastermind behind the Evil Dead franchise and the iconic Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy. But it has been nearly 15 years since his last true horror project, which raises the question, does Raimi still have that chaotic, campy, twisted spark he's known for? In my opinion, this might be Raimi at his sharpest. The film highlights everything he excels at: tension, humor, misdirection, and a distinct sense of style that only he can deliver. But now, with that out of the way, let's dive into Sam Raimis' latest film, Send Help. At the center of Send Help is Rachel McAdams as Linda Little, a well-dressed, overly talkative office worker who loves to gossip about everything and everyone. Her friendliness often crosses into irritating territory, but McAdams plays her with such charm and precision that you can't help but to be drawn in. She's naive, bubbly, and seemingly harmless. Yet there's an underlying edge to her that the film slowly reveals. Dylan O'Brien plays Bradley Preston, a spoiled, charismatic rich kid who recently inherited his father's Fortune 500 company. He's now Linda's boss, and he embodies the role of the entitled hotshot so convincingly that you immediately think he deserves whatever the island is about to throw at him. Watching him unravel is one of the film's biggest pleasures, especially as the power dynamic between him and Linda begins to shift. Bradley, who had everything handed to him his entire life, slowly realizes that there may be more to Linda than meets the eye. Literally, the movie pulls back layers of who these characters really are, and by the time the major reveals it, you're questioning everything you thought you knew about them. The film does not shy away from the grotesque moments either, especially the now infamous knife scene, which is definitely the most memorable scene of the entire movie. But I'll discuss that later on, but trust me, you'll know it when you see it play out in the movie. So, what does the movie get right? The performances are easily the strongest part of the film. Rachel McAdams carries the story with a performance that is funny, unsettling, and emotionally layered. She balances Linda's naive friendliness with a darker, more calculating side that emerges as the story unfolds. Dylan O'Brien matches her energy with a portrayal that is both infuriating and strangely sympathetic. Raimi uses their dynamic to keep the audience constantly guessing about who the real antagonist is here. Raimi's signature style is also present throughout the film. The campiness, the exaggerated camera movements, the tension-filled build-ups, and the Evil Dead-inspired humor all make their return. Even the sound design feels like a callback to his earlier work, with sharp stings, unsettling ambience, and moments of pure adored chaos. The film has a personality that is unmistakably Raimis's. The cinematography is another standout. The island setting allows for the breathtaking visuals, from sweeping shots of the cliffs to claustrophobic sequences in the dense jungle. The environment becomes a character of its own, constantly working against the protagonist. The lighting, framing, and color palette all contribute to a sense of isolation and unease. Which now brings us to talking about the knife scene, which deserves its own mention. Even though the film is R-rated, most of the violence is implied rather than shown. Normally, I'd be disappointed that Raimi didn't fully embrace the rating, but in this case, the restraint works in the film's favor. The knife scene is easily the most memorable moment, and the fact that so much of it is left to the imagination makes it far more disturbing in my opinion. The sound design alone is enough to make you squirm. It's uncomfortable, sinister, and a perfect example of Raimi's talent for misdirection. The pacing is also strong. The first 30 minutes establish the characters and set up the crash, and the rest of the runtime is dedicated to exploring the relationship and unraveling the mystery of who they truly are. Even when the film slows down, it's building tension or planting seeds for later reveals. But now let's move on to some pet peeves and some weak spots of mine that overall could have helped improve the viewing experience of the movie for the audience. While the film does succeed in many areas, it does have a few shortcomings. The ending introduces a plot point that feels slightly out of left field. It does tie back to the film's theme of climbing the corporate ladder at any cost, but the execution feels anticlimactic. It's not a bad thing, but it doesn't land with the same impact as the earlier twists. Another issue is the over-reliance on CGI blood. The film clearly operates on a smaller budget, and the digital effects are noticeable. Practical effects would have elevated several key moments, especially in the film that leans so heavily on tension and physicality. The CGI doesn't ruin the experience, but it does pull you out of the moments during scenes that should have hit harder. But finally, while most of the twists are effective, a few feel slightly overstuffed. Raimi throws a lot at the audience, and although the majority of it works, some reveals feel like they were added simply to keep viewers guessing rather than serving the story. But wrapping up my final thoughts on the movie, so is Sam Raimi's return to horror worth the wait? Absolutely. Send Help is a wildly entertaining film that blends horror, humor, tension, and character drama in a way only Raimi can. And the film's style is unmistakably Sam Raimi. Despite a few bumps along the way, the highs far outweigh the lows, and the knife scene alone is worth the price of admission. And for that, I'm giving Send Help an 8.5 out of 10. For being a strong, stylish return to form for one of horror's most iconic directors, which is funny knowing how many horror-related projects he's actually been involved with. But if you're a cinephile or a horror fan, or someone who appreciates Raimis' unique brand of chaos, the film is absolutely worth checking out. And with that, those were my initial thoughts on Send Help. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the movie, or if you're planning to see it based on word of mouth, or your love for Raimis' work. And with that, if you enjoyed this review and want more movie-related content like this, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been FilmBuzz, and it's been a pleasure. Take care.